Hello, friends, lovers, people of the world, to Late Night with Bradin, the first of its kind of this series, I suppose, in which it gets to the late night and we talk about some more serious and pressing problems and discussions in my world and maybe the world abroad. But today, in particular, is going to be a episode of Late Night with Bradin that is very near and dear and important to me as an individual. This is going to be the most important video topic that I've approached so far for me personally, because through this YouTube channel, what I see it as is an art project in which I try my best to be authentic, to be genuine, to cover anything and everything that I feel deserves to be talked about and that I want to talk about. But today we're going to talk about something that has probably recently been something that's impacted my life more than almost any other factor, being physical or mental, and that's loneliness, the feeling of loneliness. It's, for me, seemingly around every corner, underline every action I make. It's just always with me, and I wanted to discuss my thoughts and my journey through loneliness and what I think it implies for me as an individual and how I'm trying to work through that and open myself up more to life, to people, the beautiful people of the world that are watching. So that's what we're covering today. So for me, I'm an introvert by nature. A little tidbit about me. So in general, anyways, I spend a significant amount of time alone because naturally I require less social interaction, and a lot of my activities that I like to indulge in, meditation, reading, writing, some forms of art, I could definitely incorporate people into, but personally I enjoy that whole process as a self-exploration type quest, so I prefer to act alone in a lot of those endeavors. But the problem I run into in essentially everything in life, but this extends to isolation, is I'm an extremist. I either go all in or I'm all out. A reason that I've chosen to abstain indefinitely and permanently and completely from several substances, because I have a addictive personality. It seems to run in my family a little bit, and I'm aware of that. I'm conscious of that. I'm able to get ahead of that and honestly use it to my benefit in a lot of ways, like addiction to running a marathon tomorrow. By the time this is up, I've ran the marathon. It was either a catastrophe and I failed, which I didn't. The only reason I'm gonna stop is if my legs literally give out. It means a lot to me. But an addiction in that way that's progressive, or like, my addiction almost to art or creation or writing, it can be super productive, or learning in general. So I've learned to acknowledge that behavior trait and get ahead of it. But loneliness, it's something that I do take to the extreme and way too far, to the point where I'm basically not talking to anyone for a week on end, offering up no explanation to the individual that I would typically be interacting with, or maybe had a notion of plans that we were going to do that week. So that obviously impacts our relationship, and it's not a very good thing for me to do. I recognize that. But typically my justification for such behaviors is a mostly unconscious, maybe partially conscious recognition, because we're talking about it right now, so I am aware of it to some extent. Perhaps not in the moments I'm doing it, it seems justifiable, but it seems I have a propensity to believe that people change, people judge, people lose interest, and thus by avoiding involvement with other individuals, I'm sparing myself that pain that will inevitably come. And that's a terrible, horrible way to look at things, and not a life affirming thing at all. Like, yes, it's fine to have my individual time. I do enjoy a lot of those times, but humans are a social species. We need that indulgence. We need, not even indulgence, we need that interaction. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it's important. And I feel that whenever I haven't seen my friends for a long time, even if it's something little, even if we have a conversation for 10 minutes, we go out to eat or something, it doesn't have to be this grand function or activity. Just seeing them and being around them and talking to them and listening to them, there's few pleasures I glean more from life, and that extends beyond friends to, just talking to my mom or something like that, talking to a family member, talking to these people that are meaningful to me in everyday life. It warms your soul. I walk away always feeling like, wow, I needed that. But then when I'm in these lulls of isolation, I'm like, oh, I don't need that. I can bear the weight of the world on my own. It's kind of like that picture of, I don't know if it's a specific mythical figure, but he's holding up the world basically on his shoulders. That's how I look at it a lot of the time, and I see it as, you don't need anybody. You're an individual. You're going into the ground alone. You were brought into this earth. Well, that doesn't even work because you weren't alone. Your mom was there. Maybe your dad was there. I think my dad was. Yeah, I think he was there. I think he was in the waiting room, though. I think that stuff kind of grossed him out. But it's just, life is so much. Life is a lot, especially if you think about it. You think about how crazy and how paradoxical seemingly everything is. It can really weigh someone down. It can make someone feel like they can't cope. And that's where your friends, your family, they come in. They help you carry that burden. They help you get through hard times, whatever they may be. And I just realized I'm like lecturing, like this is something I am so good at and so proper at doing. This is something that I need to work on. I'm not good at doing this, and I'm actually pretty bad at doing this. Like, these videos are kind of like self-reflective in a way, even though I'm talking to you, the beautiful and honorable listener. I'm also kind of working through my own problems at the same time. You see the paradoxical man here. Truly, it's on great display. I spout all this stuff, and then you analyze a lot of my behaviors, and you're like, it doesn't really line up. Paradoxical man. The philosophy is, at the end of the day, theory. And kind of harkening back to how I said people judge and people might not like what they see or what have you. I think a lot of that stems from the fact that, well, in truth, a lot of days, not a majority, maybe a majority some weeks, it kind of goes back and forth. I'm not a delight to be around. And I know you might be saying, what? How could you not be just this delectable presence in everyone's life? You seem like such a wonderful ball of energy. I say, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I jest, of course. But a lot of the times, I'm super cynical about life. Some days I don't see a point in the sharpest objects. Some days I'm a supreme pessimist, a modern day cynic. And this state that I find myself in sometimes is not a state that I want to bring on or put onto other people. And thus, I don't. I isolate myself. I come back to myself rather than putting this stuff on other people, because the way I look at it, I think, and it's not a good way of looking at it, but I see every interaction with another person as super important. Not super important like, oh, I'm spazzing out, but it's going to, hopefully, if you bring the proper attention to the conversation and you try to get deep with somebody, it's going to impact someone one way or another. And I've always wanted to impact people in a positive way. I never want people to walk away from a hangout session or even a conversation with me feeling sour, feeling bad, feeling down. That's not what I want to do. That's not the type of person that I want to be. And I think it's important always to try and find the light. But some days, in truth, brothers and good sisters as well, I can't find that light for myself. So I think, how in the hell am I going to be able to cast a light on another person? And thus, I retreat. I refuse to make any impact on anybody, because I've never been the type of person that could really be bothered to pretend to feel something they don't, to be something other than what they are in that moment. And I've never been good at it anyways, so it comes through whenever I'm not in the best and the highest of hopes. And I know that, and I'm very aware of that. And again, thus that makes me want to retreat, because I feel people will see right through the false charades, and that's not who I want to be. I don't ever want to project a hair of inauthenticity, because, we are who we are, and I don't think we should be ashamed of that one bit. But now you're seeing, again, paradoxically, I'm saying you shouldn't be ashamed of who you are, but then refusing to show people who I am in my darker moments. And you could see how this could be a vicious cycle, where me not feeling upright and gleaming good energy and good vibes would cause me not to interact with people, and then that not interacting with people would cause me to not feel good. Vicious cycle, and it hurts me, but it also hurts the people that I genuinely care about, because I feel like a lot of the time they feel as though maybe I don't care about them, or maybe I don't value their friendship, their relationship, whatever dynamic we have going on. And, that's not the case. I really do love, especially if I give you my time, I give you my time because I choose to. I try not to do anything unconsciously. So whenever I spend time with someone, I try to spend that time with the person because I love them, I appreciate them, I care about them, I want the absolute best for them, I value them as an individual. And, it almost breaks my heart to think how many people I've hurt doing this shit, where I section myself off from them, I cut them off from them, never even give them a chance to see what's going on. And a lot of this is probably coming from maybe previous failed relationships, hint of insecurity on my part, definitely a fear of being alone, but then I also, again, paradoxically, encourage myself being alone. But also, I think a big part of it is really how, as a man in society, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, poor me, I'm a white man, it's such a hard life and all this and all that. We've had the easiest life for at least the millennia. And that's not what I'm saying anyways. All I'm saying is, in general, men, there's been a stigma in the past. It's getting a lot better, which is very encouraging and makes me very happy. But there's been certainly an inclination. I've seen it in my own family. You've seen it in movies, media, just the way men seem to have behaved from a certain era, where they were very much living the motto of man up. And god damn, what a stupid fucking expression. Man up. Man up, connotating repress all of your emotions, don't show any of them, rise above them and ignore them. Ignore your humanness. Don't cry, you don't cry, you're a man. Like, all of this shit is just reprehensible, and I truly feel bad. I don't feel anger at anyone for it. I don't feel anger at these people that came to adopt that doctrine, I feel bad for them, because essentially, like I said, what you're doing is denying your humanity and not allowing yourself to live a true and authentic life. I think it's so important not only to understand our emotions, but express them in a healthy way, if possible. But I think even when you express an emotion in a negative way, it's probably better than not expressing a emotion at all. Today, I'm trying to take a bold step here and implement a lot of what I've kind of worked out through writing this and now recording this. I'm trying to take a bold step for myself and refuse this notion of manning up and all the terrible toxic masculinity that indicates, and pronounce that the strongest of the men, I think, the strongest of characters in general, are those that are vulnerable in their emotions and allow other people in. I think that takes a lot more bravery and a lot more strength of character than shutting people out. It's easy to shut people out. It's easy to turn off and not allow anyone in. But it's hard to be vulnerable, to put your heart, take it out of you, put it on the table, and say, here it is, world. Like it or hate it. It's here. And, it's out of me. It's out of my hands. I'm showing you this. I'm giving you the opportunity to do with it what you will. And that's scary as fuck. I had made real progress in the way of opening up to people again. And, I regressed because I got scared. It's scary to lay it all out there, because with your heart on the table with that, like that, or your heart on your sleeve, whatever expression you want to use, it's very easy for that person to smash it or destroy it entirely. And then this pain is just almost unbearable, but in the same light, it allows for another person to comfort it, to show compassion, show love towards you in a way that you can't provide for yourself. It's all a leap of faith, to quote Peter Parker in Into the Spider-Verse. Definitely not the first time that's been said, but that's what sparked to mind. It's a leap of faith. Human relationships are a leap of faith. That's what's so beautiful about them. Something truly magical and special can grow from the seeds planted between two individuals. Something seriously, terribly, horribly awful can occur between two individuals through a relationship, but it's a leap of faith either way. And I think it's always better to lead a life in pursuit, in favor, in affirming life, rather than in negating life. And that leap of faith signifies everything so special about humanity, is that despite the risk, despite what may go wrong, we press forward anyways. We try, we get up, because we know for all the fallibility that might occur, there's a chance. There's always a chance for something truly beautiful to take hold and transform a soul into something magical and profound and beautiful. And to take that step, that leap of faith, is, in a sense, what it means to be human. Every day is a leap of faith. When you get out of bed, it's a leap of faith. When I stay in bed, that's easy. There's no risk involved in staying in bed. It's safe. It takes courage just to get out of bed in the morning. So if you're out of bed this morning, or hell, it probably took courage to watch this video, because I know this can be a lot right here that we got going on. So little applause for you. Another point to harken back on with this whole loneliness conundrum I've been experiencing is I'm always so quick to assume nobody's going to understand the plight, the cross that I bear. Nobody can possibly understand what I go through and all this and all that. And that's not fair. That's not fair to deny someone even How do you know that they couldn't understand or come to understand, and maybe not understand, but listen and just give you their honest feelings on something and perhaps open a whole new perspective on it? I don't think that's fair, especially if it's someone that you genuinely care about and respect. Walling them off from yourself and what's going on with you is walling both of you off from a progression in a relationship, a true growth, a development, if you will. This life is a lot, like I said earlier, to bear. Maybe too much for one individual, especially if you consider how fucking crazy it is that we're alive on this spinning ball in a universe that is larger than we can possibly begin to comprehend and older than we can really understand. It's a lot. It's crazy. And that's a great thing. We're not Tom Hanks in Castaway, where we need to rely on our volleyball that we've drawn a face on or whatever to get through. We have other beautiful individuals, hopefully, in our lives that we can lean on. And we can lean on them, they can lean on us, and through this camaraderie, this kinship, we both grow stronger and more equipped to be able to handle this plight of life. And in leaning on each other, it shouldn't be seen as something that is a sign of weakness. No, not at all. But a sign of strength, of compassion, of humanity at its very finest. And in this moment, briefly, I want to take a break from not my issues, but my experiences in which we're running through, and offer my hand to you, the dear viewer. If you are feeling alienated in life, if you're feeling as though you're going through some hard times and you don't want to put anything on someone else, you don't want to be a burden to that individual, I want you to know that, one, I care, and that I would love to help carry your load. So please reach out to me. I'll put my number in the description, Snapchat as well, probably. Even just leaving it in the comments. I respond to all my comments, all like 0 comments I get. I want to let you know, if you feel like you have nobody, if you feel alone and isolated, you're not alone. You have me, your dear narrator. I know that you may not have this deep and profound connection with me, and perhaps you don't feel comfortable sharing anything, but I just want you to know that I care about you. I have compassion for you, you beautiful human, and I want to see you grow and prosper, and I know that it's within your abilities, because that's what we do as humans so well, is grow and prosper. And also, my intentions in this video isn't to pretend that one relationship or one connection is going to fix everything in your life as an individual. That would be a bunch of horseshit, to be honest with you. I think nothing should be given that power, and nothing can really have that power in reality anyways. It's a lot of individual factors coming together. But if you do have the pleasure of having some meaningful people in your life, like I do, like I'm realizing I do, so many wonderful people that indulge themselves in me for whatever reason I'm so lucky for, allow them in. Allow them, give them that respect that they deserve. Allow them in, see what happens. Be vulnerable, be loving, be compassionate, but also be true. And you're never a burden to people that really care, I find. How could you be? If someone really genuinely loves and enjoys you as a human being, they want you to grow and prosper and get through whatever difficulties you may be having. and probably would love to hear about your problems. So I guess in closing, I want to recircle back to the whole men don't cry or whatever we're saying. Man up. Men cry. Men hurt. Men feel. And that should never be denied by either an individual or the society that they inhabit. I truly feel a great sadness for all the men that, and I'm sure there's versions of this for women as well, that have had to repress certain emotions in order to just get on and survive. I'm not meaning to alienate any of the female audience here. I'm just speaking on, again, my personal experience being a man. Apparently being a man. It's just so incredibly sad that there's a time when essentially we switched off our biological mechanism of crying. That was denied for them. But again, on a happier note that we're going to leave off on, because I'm feeling optimistic today. Again, not always feeling optimistic, but that's okay. I know you'll accept me either way, hopefully, and if you don't, that's okay too. I am, again, so happy that we're heading towards a society that allows discussion of the subjects we covered today. Not only the discussion, though, that these discussions are taken seriously. And to leave off, I wanted to say that whoever you are, whatever you have done in life, you deserve to be heard. You deserve to be loved. And it is within my chief hopes that you find both. Stay human, my friends. All too human. Love.